Eric.
Yes, let me transfer you over to him.
Great, thanks.
Thank you.
He's on the way. Do you want any more?
No.
Hello, this is Eric.
Hi, Eric. It's Margaret Bailey. How are you?
Good, how you doing?
Good. I'm here with my son, and we just have a list of questions
Okay.
to ask. So, okay. I was kind of surprised when you said I could keep the $48,000, the smaller promissory note. Is that
Yeah.
considered part of the CSRA?
Yes.
Oh, okay. That answered that question. Okay. And if I buy an annuity, I've kind of been looking into annuities, and would I be able to buy a fixed index annuity?
No, these are specialized annuities that we're saying here, that we're talking about.
Okay.
They are only for the purposes that we're talking about, and so you can't just go out, these aren't just any old annuity you can buy on the market. We get these from special companies that do these types of annuities.
I see. What is the name of the annuity, the type of annuity?
I guess some people refer to them as Medicaid annuities, and that term is sometimes abused, so you kind of have to be careful, because people say, oh yeah, this is a Medicaid annuity, and it's not. So they have a whole bunch of rules that they have to comply with. I'm not even sure if we need an annuity in this case. Actually, the more I looked at it, I realized that I put the wrong vehicle on my calculations.
Okay.
And so there's another $10,000 here, or at least $8,000. So now all of a sudden that annuity's only looking like a very small thing. And by the time we, get him in a facility and, buy some personal items and effects and do some of these other things, and we don't even know for sure what the promissory note we could sell it for. We might get more, we might get less. And so I think the question of doing an annuity is sort of the last thing that we do in this planning. So after we've done everything else, then we know where we stand and what we need to do, and maybe we say, hey, we're there, we don't need this. Or maybe we say, hey, we're still $5,000 or $10,000 short. Let's go pick up a Medicaid annuity to close the gap.
Okay, I understand. Okay, so kind of tell me the order that this happens in. Do I first put my husband in a home and then we do this? Or
that is an important part of that. So we can't get an assessment done and establish the CSRA until he's put into a home, although we know what that's going to be. So it's not rocket science or anything. I mean, we know what that assessment's going to say. It's going to say you have to spend down to $122,900.
I'm sorry, that number
was
was
$2,000 exempt amount, and he's got his $120,900. So,
sir, I'm sorry. Excuse me. You were saying the number we need to get down below. My name is Travis Bailey. It's a pleasure to meet you, sir. What number was that again that we needed to get down to?
It's the CSRA at $120,900 plus the exempt amount of $2,000, and so we know that that's what you're going to get to keep when this is all said and done. And whether however that's comprised, whether it's the promissory note with the $48,000 promissory note, or it's going to be that plus some other things. It's going to be some cash maybe. And some other things, but that's the number that we have to get down to before we know we're eligible.
Okay, thank
but
you.
You're asking me about a process, and So I think that I guess I can talk to that at two levels. I mean, one is if you're going to try to do this yourself, and the other is if you have us do it. I don't really recommend that you try to do this yourself. I think it's really dangerous, but if you want to do that, you know, we can give you a to-do list. I think, you know, I just caution you because, you know, there's some analysis here and there's some numbers, but there's a process that you go through, and, you know, even if we have our initial analysis perfect, usually as you're going through the process, there's a lot of little things that come up that are just hard anyway, so I just caution you on that. Is that what you're thinking, that you try to do it yourself, or do you want,
No.
are you talking about having us help you?
No, not necessarily. I just want to know. I'm just the kind of person that wants to know as much of the end as I can, the process, and
Sure.
I just get really nervous
Absolutely.
about it. So,
Oh yeah, and I want to help you the best we can. So I think that, you know, normally with a case like this, the first thing that we do is we gather information, and we've done a lot of that already, and we do some analysis, and we say, okay, is this viable? That's what we've done already. We've kind of looked at it, we said this is viable. This will get him immediate eligibility as soon as we get to this place. Number two, then we start looking for a facility to admit him to, and you know, obviously you want to do some shopping and get him in a good place. And I don't know if you've ever seen Seniors Blue Book, but it's a great resource that will list all the facilities, what they do, those that are Medicaid, those that are not, what their approximate cost of care is, how they rate, you know, those kinds of things. And so that's a great resource.
okay. Yeah, I have seen
And if
that.
you don't,
And then the next step, sir?
and so then once we find a facility, then we go and we trying to think if there's anything. I mean, once we admit him, he's not going to be eligible until we get through this planning. I think another really valuable thing to do right away, immediately, maybe even first off, is start shopping for someone who will purchase that promissory note. And you know, there are companies that are notorious for doing this, and I use that word intentionally. Like, for example, J.G. Wentworth, they will buy these notes, but usually they're really aggressive about it, and they give you pennies on the dollar, and they just, I think in the industry, they're kind of seen as sharks.
Most
And
definitely,
so
sir.
what we want to do is,
We actually have
Okay.
we actually have two companies that we've researched, and we haven't got a figure yet, but the research has been done. We're going to try to avoid the national ones, but we'll definitely shop around for that to get that note
yeah,
sold out.
that's what you want to do, is shop around a little bit. And I don't know anybody off the top of my head. I mean, J.G. Wentworth's the one I know, but I know a guy who knows a lot of this stuff, and that's probably where I would reach out to him and say, hey, you know, I think he might even buy them, and you know, where do we get these things, and get some proposals. So trying to get that thing sold and get a good value for it, that's going to take time, and I think that's one of the first things you want to do.
Okay, so the
Once we
first.
get,
Go ahead, please. Sir.
I was going to move on, so go ahead.
So the first thing would be to gather the information which we talked about. The second thing was to sell the promissory note, one of the two promissory notes.
Yeah.
And then the second one was the third step would be to get Lee into a facility.
Yeah.
Okay, what do we do next?
I think once we've got him in the facility, then we start spending down. We got the money from the promissory note, then we start going out and getting these things on the list done. You know, buying the funeral plans, upgrading the vehicle, doing the, you know, all that stuff.
Okay. Now, how?
And also at the same time, we're going to file a Medicaid application. So we want Medicaid to know we're there, know that we're in the nursing home, give us the number on the community spouse resource allowance, which we already know is this number. And then as soon as we know that we are down to the appropriate amount, then usually we file a second application. Sometimes we combine both those applications. We just file one application and we show them the two figures. This is a possibility in this case because of the fact that CSRA is so fixed. We know exactly what it's going to be. So we almost really could do this all with one application. Just say, okay, here's the numbers when you went in. Here's the numbers now. We believe we're eligible. Give us Medicaid.
Okay, now
So, go ahead, please.
how long of a period do you have to do that, to spend down your money?
Well, as long as you want to take, but every month that you're not eligible, you're going to be incurring the cost of the nursing home.
That's true. Okay.
So this can't be done until he's in a nursing home. We can't file the Medicaid application until he's in the nursing home.
No.
Okay. Okay. Thank you.
The other possibility that we did not put on here as a spend down item is you can make home improvements. So that's another possibility. The only catch about the home improvements is that you have to have them bought, paid for, and installed. So by the time you want to be able to approach Medicaid again and say, we're eligible, that has to be done. The other thing to remember is that you can't do any of this spend down, or at least not most of this spend down, until he has been admitted to the facility. Because the assessment gets done as of the date that he goes into the facility, and the share that has to be spent down is identified at that time. So one, sort of a rookie mistake, or one of the things that people do is they start going out and doing all this stuff, thinking, oh yeah, we're getting ready, and it was on the list, and we got to do all this stuff, and then they find out that the assessment hasn't even been done yet.
Oh,
And
okay.
so they're really not even, they're spending down off the total lump instead of the one side.
I see.
Okay.
Okay, that makes sense.
Sir, just a note and stuff. If you can make a note, that would be interested. I would be very interested in getting the telephone number for that guy, that gentleman that you suggested that could buy the note from us. And then we would also be interested in that to-do list. I'm encouraging my mother strongly to absolutely not do this by herself. So, absolutely. So we definitely will retain probably yourself. We will definitely retain a lawyer. But that to-do list would kind of give us more of an idea of exactly what the steps are in this process. Is that possible to get that?
Well, so you've got from me what I'm going to give you in terms of the analysis at this point. You know what these things are. We've given you some suggestions on what you can spend down the money on. I'm probably done with this until you hire me because I've already spent probably an extra $500 beyond what you paid me. So we're kind of at that point where I'm kind of done. So.
Okay. Okay, well, there's one last question. Now, do you guarantee that you can put my husband on Medicaid? Is that like a guaranteed thing?
Well, I mean, guarantee is a strong word. I mean, we're not an insurance policy. What I'm saying is these numbers all make sense. These are the rules that we can follow. I've been doing this for 12 years. We've gotten many people through this process. We're very good at what we do. But I'm not the government and I'm not Medicaid. So at the end of the day, we've got to stay within their rules and only they can give you Medicaid. So no, we don't give guarantees. What we do is we say, look, we are in the trenches with you. We're your companion in this process. We are here to work through this with you. This is a problem-solving process. Problem-solving is often not linear, so it's not like going up to a vending machine and buying a Snickers bar. Because you know what you get when you do that. You pay this money, you get a Snickers bar.
Right.
This is a problem-solving process,
okay.
And so we're your coach, we're your guide, we're your instrument to get this done.
Okay, I understand.
Yeah.
Well-
So can we get a copy of that to-do list, sir?
It's in the email. So the email that I sent you is the information plus what we talked about on this call in terms of process. That's the to-do list.
Oh, that is a to-do list.
Okay,
great.
very good. Thank you so much.
And then your my mom said, and forgive me if I'm wrong, if you can, Mom, if you can repeat basically what was said, is that it would be probably $5,000, but is there, how much does this usually cost? I'm just curious, like, what can this actually run? Because there's the initial 5,000, but beyond that, can you be more specific on that? Is that what basically the
Yeah.
gist of it was?
Somebody said there might be more.
There might be more. Okay.
Yeah.
Well, so let me address that. So the way that we do business with our clients is that we'll let you do as much as you possibly can. We're here to play whatever role you would like us to play. So if if you use more of our services, then we charge hourly on these types of cases, because it's really hard to say, what exactly, every case is not the same. And, so that some clients will go and do a lot of this legwork. Like you've already talked, you're looking for somebody that can, help you with that promissory note. So those are things that you can do and that don't require me to do it, and that saves you money. And we've had cases where we coached somebody through this process, and it was maybe $2,000 is probably a fair thing. And also, some of this comes down to how do you do the Medicaid application, for example? So, if you want to save money, what we do is we say, okay, get it a Medicaid application. We can send you what we've got, but a lot of times it's best to get that from the facility, because there are different Medicaid applications out there. And some facilities, some caseworkers like one, some caseworkers like another. But as soon as you get that Medicaid application, you can fill all that stuff out. You don't need us to do that. And then you can gather all the proofs. We'll give you a checklist. That's the part that we play. That's our professional expertise. We give you a checklist of documents that they're going to want to see. And then you go and you gather all those documents and you fill out the application. And then the cheapest way of doing this is then you come in and you sit down with us for a half hour and we review that with you. And we tell you, okay, this looks good, or you need to do this, or you need to do that, and we coach you through that Medicaid application. Other clients just say, look, we want you to file it, we want you to do all the work on that, and then that obviously costs more money. So I threw out the $5,000 figure because that's kind of where a lot of these cases come in. We've had cases that cost 10, and we've had cases that cost maybe 2. And it's just depending on what you need us to do. This is a little more complex in the sense that we are dealing with the promissory note. We're dealing with a few technical pieces, but I don't know. I hope that gives you some idea.
Okay. Yes.
And
Thanks.
and by the way, I have paralegals, so I don't even do a lot of the work on this. I have a really good Medicaid paralegal. She's a lot cheaper than I am. You can use her. She keeps costs down, so you're not always paying me at my hourly rate. A lot of times you're just working with my staff on it. But then when they need me, they know how to get to me, and they know when those key moments are, and then they come in and we get them the guidance they need and move them along their way.
Okay. Yeah, that's very helpful, Mr. Barnes. I guess the biggest thing for me is it's not necessarily for us. It's not necessarily the price. It's just the surprise, and so that's the reason I asked that. We don't want to do this on the cheap by any means. It's just that we don't want any surprises, and so that's the reason that we ask. And I understand I'm an attorney actually myself, and so I understand how hard it is. Every case is definitely unique. There's a fact pattern that's different on each one, and so when we say that we just 5,000 is a good figure. I mean it's a decent price. It's just we don't want many major surprises, and that's what we're concerned about. And that's what with any, it's like if you buy a car, you spend $5,000 on the car, and then the next week you find out that it broke down, and so that's where I'm coming from.
I'm with you on that. We talk about this, and I tell my staff all the time. It's all about expectations. People need to have reasonable expectations, and then we need to meet those expectations. And when we're not, we need to communicate that because nobody likes a surprise. So I'm with you totally.
Okay, fabulous.
Do you have any other questions, Travis?
We have 10 more minutes, so.
Okay. Well, we have asked all the questions except one. And I saved that for last because my mom she has her house put into what is it called? A limited partnership. She has all of the people in the family, all of us children, is in that limited partnership, which means that if she did go into a nursing home, then asset recovery people couldn't touch the house. Do you do things like that?
There are attorneys out there, well, only one that I know of that uses the limited partnership for this type of planning.
Okay.
I don't like that type of planning because I think it's fraught with uncertainty. We use trust when we do that kind of thing.
Okay.
So we do a lot of those. I've probably done 400 or 500 pre-planning asset protection trusts, and the trusts are the standard. They're the gold standard nationally.
Okay.
So when you look at on a national basis, people that are doing this type of planning, everybody's using trusts, and nobody's using the LLCs or family limited partnerships. Excuse me, I'm having to go. Anyway, anyway, I don't know if that's your question.
Yeah, that did answer my question.
Yeah, so right now the issue though that you really raised two issues. The first issue relates to how does any of that affect your planning? Is any of your interest in her family limited partnership or her LLC, is any of that going to be attributable to you by Medicaid? And so that's a big issue, and that's one of the reasons why these things are a little scary, is because all of a sudden it's not mom, it's one of the kids that has the crisis, and that surprises us. And with the trust, we don't have those kinds of issues. So that's the first issue, and we'd have to take a look at that LLC and see how that was affecting your plan. The second big issue then is also if in the future, so for you, what would happen is if let's say your husband were to die, and then we were looking at you now, and we're saying, what happens if this happens to you? And at that time, we would really want to take a look at moving the rest of the assets into an asset protection trust where you'd be safe.
Okay, I see. Yeah, I was thinking that would be down the road a ways, but I did have a question about it, so I appreciate you addressing that.
You mentioned a checklist. Is that only after we retain you that we'd be able to get that checklist?
He already gave us that checklist.
Oh no, there was another checklist that you actually
okay.
mentioned. Is that something that after we retain you to go through this process that we'd get a copy of, or is that something that you could possibly email us, or is it the checklist unique to each situation? I don't know if you have a standard boilerplate checklist.
Yeah, we can email you the checklist. So what you could do after we're done with the call is just call back to my office and talk to Jennifer, not Jen. So I've got a Jen and a Jennifer. And if you talk to Jennifer,
okay,
she could email you that checklist.
Okay, we
call it a Medicaid application checklist.
Okay, Medicaid application checklist. Okay, I haven't been much of the process. I've been pretty hands-off on this. I was helping my mom in December. We met with Mr. Curtis in Salt Lake City. Have you?
Yeah, I know Cal.
Yeah, so what he's offering is it's $7,500 basically to get this process done. If you know anything about how he works or anything else, like what exactly differentiates you from Cal? We're just trying to figure out what the best path is.
Sure. Cal and I are very similar in terms of our expertise and our knowledge. We are two of the three certified elder law attorneys in the state.
I'm sorry. Can you repeat that? That was LLL, attorneys in the state.
ELC. Elder care.
Certified elder law attorney. So there's only three certified elder law attorneys in the state, and Cal and I are two of those three.
Great. Okay.
And we, our back. He was on the block sooner than I was. So I don't know how long he's been doing it, but when I came into the area 12 years ago, he was already doing it. And so, that gives you some idea. I don't know that he was too happy that I came in and started doing it because he was kind of the only guy in the state doing it. But anyway, I would say that, when in 2006, when the new Medicaid laws came out regarding this kind of stuff, he did kind of bail on the whole thing. He kind of exited and started focusing on special needs trusts more than Medicaid.
So he focuses more on what trust? I'm sorry, what was that? What kind of trust?
Special needs trust.
Special needs trust.
And then he came back in though, so I don't mean to undermine his expertise. I mean, I think he kind of exited for a number of years, and then he came back in, and I know he's in the saddle right now, and I'm sure he knows these rules as well as I do, or even better possibly. I think that he's great. So I think you just have to decide where you're more comfortable, and but there are other attorneys that if you were talking to, I'd say, oh, get away from that one. But I know Cal knows his stuff.
Okay, so I have a question. What about Jeffrey Brown?
Well, he's the one that does the LLCs.
Right,
and
he's the one who did it for
I'm
me.
not comfortable with those.
Okay, well, that's good to know.
That's excellent. Thank you so much for your candid and your
Okay.
honesty on that. So, thank you. Okay, yeah. So, okay, yeah. That's so. I guess the difference between. Yeah. Okay. So, you both have the experience. You both are elder care law attorneys. One of the three in the state. And so beyond that. Okay. Is there anything else that differentiates, you think?
I think I'm a lot nicer guy.
I like that. Okay, terrific. Yeah. I like that.
I mean, just to give you an idea, we were the only two lawyers in the state that were back at the National Academy of Elder Law Attorneys seminar 2 weeks ago. He and I are the ones that do this in the state. So it's, and we both know our stuff, and
Yeah.
I would hope you'd say the same thing about me, and so.
Well, for my mom, it's so important because when I first came in to help her, she met with an attorney, and a lot of it is who she likes. That's important, that there's this good working relationship. So it's been a real pleasure, Mr. Barnes, to talk to you. So.
Yeah. Well, I'm glad I could meet and help both of you to the extent that we have, and if nothing else, hopefully you've got some good information and that can take you forward, and if you decide to have us do it, give us a call and we'll get you going, okay?
Okay.
Yeah, most definitely. It's going to be probably within the next couple of months. Even, I don't know what my mother's scheduled, but it definitely needs to be done soon. So if we do decide to hire you, would she, just really quickly, we have a minute left, would she just be paying like the $5,000 retainer for this then?
No, what we would probably do is have her pay probably a $2,000 retainer,
Okay.
and then we would just start working forward. So, one of the reasons why I don't charge just a flat $7,500 for these things is because sometimes it's a lot cheaper than that, and so, it's just hard to predict these things.
Yes.
And so there are times with that cases be more than $7,500, but a lot of times they're cheaper than that. So.
Okay.
And the other thing is when we charge you hourly, then you can you can save yourself money by picking up some of these things and moving them forward without us doing everything. So that's another, I guess, differentiator for you is that with Cal, you're going to get, whatever you get, and that's it. And with us, you can decide how it looks and how much you do and how much you want us to do.
We can customize it, so definitely.
Okay, I just have one last question. I'm going to be going to Salt Lake to visit my sister, and I know that you have my trust and everything. If we should retain you, then will you keep that information? Will you keep that trust? Will you keep all my information, or should I swing by and pick it up? Will you
It's up to
be?
you. Either way.
Okay.
If we're working for you, we probably, one of the things we do need to do is, as I mentioned in my second email, there's probably a couple of things we'd like to clean up in that plan as part of the process. So if we're going to do that, then we probably hold on to the documents, because when we get those things cleaned up, then we'll replace them in the binder and give it back to you.
Okay.
So,
Great.
it's up to you. If you want to get it, just call my staff and say, hey, I'm going to come pick up my binder and come grab it.
Okay, great. Thank you very much.
Thank you for your time, sir. It's a pleasure to talk to you.
You bet. Take care.
Bye-bye.
Okay, bye.